Well, I'm Chris Vallillo, and I'm here this evening to celebrate this place we lovingly refer to as Forgottonia. Now, most of you folks here tonight know what I'm talking about. But for those of you that don't, Forgottonia is essentially west central Illinois. But it's really just a microcosm of all of rural America. Now, the name Forgottonia first came to this region in 1972, when 16 counties banded together and declared the creation of the independent nation of Forgottonia in protest to the lack of infrastructure dollars returning to this part of the state. The plan was to secede from the Union, declare war on the United States, immediately surrender, and then apply for foreign aid. It was nothing more than pure political theater, but to everyone's utter amazement, it actually worked. A local Western Illinois University theater major, Neil Gamm, took on the role of the governor of Forgottonia, and he played it to the hilt. There we go. And the press ate it up. Now, the movement essentially went viral when the Associated Press picked up the story, and journalists from as far away as Los Angeles, California, interviewed Governor Gamm. He even made it into the New York Times. And local folks began to sit up and take notice. The public responded in droves. Small donations began to pour in $1 at a time from folks of all walks of life. A Dr. Welch from Cuba, Illinois, appointed himself Surgeon General and Secretary of Health and Education. A local black powder shooters club offered to act as the Forgottonia militia, and one 11-year-old girl sent Governor Gamm 25 cents and asked to be appointed Secretary of Agriculture because she lived on a farm. Now, there was a great deal of work to do to create a new nation state. They had to come up with the symbols of statehood. For the official state flower, they chose the forget-me-not. The official bird was the albatross, and they even designed a Forgottonia flag, a plain white flag of surrender. Now, before it was all said and done, they would generate over $250,000 in publicity with a budget of a mere $2,000. It's a great story, but that's not really the story I'm here to tell you tonight. I'm here to tell you the story of the people and the places and the culture that was old Forgottonia, but not through the eyes of folks that grew up and lived in it every day. I want to share it with you through the eyes of a young man experiencing it for the very first time. Now, I first came to this region in 1976 on the first wave of funding to come in as a result of that Forgottonia movement, and it was like stepping back in time 40 years. All the little rural communities were still intact, and most had that cafe where you could get the classic meat and three dinner. Something like roast beef and dressing, mashed potatoes and gravy, green beans, coleslaw, 2 slices of bread with real butter, coffee, and cream in a box, all for $1.89. And I got to experience the very last of that just as it was beginning to fade away. And I'd spend the next 40 years trying to capture its afterglow in my work. Now, by the early 1980s, I was beginning to write the music that would become my very first recording. Now, pardon me. That's when the title song for this show, Forgottonia, was first created, or started. Now, as luck would have it, the recording sessions came up and I hadn't finished the tune. And it ended up left in a notebook where it was stuck in a drawer, and I didn't see it again until 2017. And when I read those words, through the benefit of hindsight, I realized I'd captured that time and place perfectly. So 30 years later, I finished the song. 2, 3, 4. Little town blues, rusty old horseshoes, hanging up above the weathered door. Old maple trees, a sultry summer breeze, waltzing across the summer kitchen floor. Down on the town square, all the kids are hanging round, swapping lies and sneaking their first beers. When the sun goes down, they'll be heading out of town, gonna spin those tires, bang those gears. Noon promenade of old men in the shade, spitting out tobacco on the ground. Battered decoy ducks hang from rusted pickup trucks by the bandstand in the middle of the town. Up at the cafe, you can catch the latest news, who left who and how the crops are doing. Randy wrecked his truck. That boy always had bad luck. Mary says the sweet corn's coming in real soon. Tell me all about it, Don. Sometimes you can feel it just beyond the fading light. The echoes of the past come back to call, like some old fiddler's tune heard beneath the harvest moon. The one that haunts your mind you can't quite recall. Oh, little town news, rusty old horseshoes, hanging up above the weathered door. Old maple trees, a sultry summer breeze, waltzing across the summer kitchen floor.